Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor with a frog in my throat. So today I want to talk about how to be gentle with ourselves during recovery. Specifically, I will discuss the feeling that I struggle with, like I'm not doing enough around the house, even when my husband reassures me that not only am I doing enough, but that I need to slow down. So um, we'll start by talking about recognizing self-imposed expectations. So whether you are in recovery from a stroke or you are in sobriety or none of that, I always have self-imposed expectations. I always have. I probably always will. So, how do I recognize what expectations are self-imposed and what expectations are reasonable, what I should expect of myself? During recovery, it's easy to not fall into the trap of thinking that we're not doing enough because it's not how much we used to do in a day. For me, this often manifests in this feeling like I should be doing more around the house, even if I'm not feeling well. And I've been feeling that way for the past couple days. So I thought, well, if you're feeling it, this Recovery Daily podcast, whatever's going on that day, I'm going to talk about it because I know that other people will be able to relate in some way. I know I'm not unique. I always say that. So I find myself thinking that my husband will think that I'm lazy or get tired of needing me needing a nap. Like for example, today we had lunch together, which is our cute little date now that we have in the middle of the day. He's working all day in the basement and I'm doing my stuff. I spent the whole morning actually trying to get my medical records sent between all of my doctors, which is kind of a pain in the hiney. So, anyway, we tend to come together in the middle of the day and we have some lunch and we uh, get silly with the dogs. And then he goes off back to work and I go off to do my thing. Well, as some of you know, I don't know how much I've really talked about it, but I've been really feeling bad over the past couple weeks. And I had missed a couple episodes, which I'm adamant about showing up every day, but there are some days that I just don't feel well enough to do this. Today was another day that I thought I just feel like skipping it. Um, but it's okay. I already had everything planned. So really it was this part that I need to show up for. And sometimes I'll just shut my eyes and it'll be fine. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, I know I've been getting lots of newcomers lately. Go back and watch the episodes or listen to the episodes about my vestibular disorder. That's why sometimes I have to shut my eyes. So I don't want to bore all the lifetime listeners with this stuff that you already know. Okay. So, going back to, yeah. Okay. So he will go back to work. And today I was like, okay, well, the puppies and I are going to go have cuddle time. Cuddle time means that we're going to take a nap. And the dogs know what cuddle time means. They both follow me upstairs to the bed when I say cuddle time. It's pretty cute. So I felt like when we were going upstairs to take a nap, I felt bad. Like I felt guilty that he was going down to work and I was going up to take a nap. Um, so I wanted to talk about how to combat those feelings because I know that that's not what he's thinking. I know him well enough to know that he is not thinking anything negative about me having to go take a nap because of the pain and the discomfort in my head. So the reality is that these are not his expectations. They are my expectations of myself. In fact, he often tells me that I'm doing too much. When I start feeling a little bit better, I start adding things to my schedule. He said I go from 0 to 100, which is very true. And he says, when I'm feeling a little better, just add one thing instead of adding five things. So despite his reassurances, I still feel this internal pressure to do more. I have this inner critic that blocks me from self-compassion, and my inner critic can be relentless. It tells me that I need to make dinner every day. I need to keep the house spotless. I need to be constantly productive in order to feel worthy. And this just isn't sustainable for me, especially with my symptoms coming back so strong over the past 2 weeks. So if you have the same kind of inner critic, we have to recognize that these expectations are self-imposed. Our loved ones, like my husband, often understand and respect our limitations better than we do. He can see my efforts, and I bet you sometimes he's just watching me do something like making dinner and just thinking, I wish she would just stop, because he can probably tell that I don't feel well. Because I'll do things like I'll shut one eye, um, or I'll just like, while the stove is doing something, like I'll just shut my eyes and stand still for a minute because I just get really dizzy and all of that stuff. And I'm sure he watches it and there's nothing he can do, right? Because I'm so bullheaded. And I know he appreciates my efforts, even though I don't really appreciate my own efforts and the things that I'm doing. They seem small to me, but to him, I'm sure that they look big. So how can I fight these feelings of inadequacy when before my stroke, was such an active person? Um, how can I how can I allow myself to be okay with doing less than I used to? So here are some strategies that I have found helpful in being gentler with myself. As you know, it is a work in progress, so none of these are like a surefire answer, but these have helped me to start being a little kinder to myself. So, acknowledging my efforts. So, start by recognizing the efforts that you're making, no matter how small they might seem. Recovery is hard work, and every step forward that we make is significant. I make dinner for us several times a week, and that is huge. Seeing that just months ago, I couldn't do anything in the kitchen unsupervised. And then when I was writing the script out, I thought, I mean, heck, I wasn't doing anything in the kitchen at all when I was working. I hardly did any cooking or anything. So why do I think that so much more is expected of me now that I've got a broken brain? Probably because I'm not working and I feel like more should be expected of me, but there's a reason why I'm not working, because I'm not well. So I have to acknowledge that, and I need to recognize that um, even the smallest things that I'm doing. I make sourdough bread once a week. I make a loaf of sourdough bread for us once a week. That's huge. That's not something that I ever did before. My entire life, I was not a baker. But now in recovery, like that's my thing. I'll make a loaf of sourdough. And it's not a big deal now for me because I've been doing it for quite a few months now. So it's really kind of second nature for me to make a loaf. And I need to acknowledge that even though that may seem small to me, that's a big deal that I'm doing this for us. Next, communicate openly. So talk to your loved ones about how you feel and share your struggles. That can help alleviate some of that burden that you're carrying so you don't feel like you're carrying it alone. My husband always reassures me that I'm doing enough, and it doesn't come out that way though. He's not like, honey, you're doing enough. It's more like you really need to know when to stop. That's what it comes out. It's more like you need to just do one thing a day, meaning he wants me to have like one goal a day. If I'm going to make a loaf of bread one day, then I should not also be making cookies. That's just an example, but you know what I'm saying. So that's how he communicates it to me. It doesn't sound like leave it to Beaver, husband saying it to the wife or anything like that. It's just more like he's trying to guide me. He's really trying to guide me. And I know that it can be difficult because I'm kind of defensive just a little bit when I feel like I'm being told what to do. I am a lot, a lot. So hearing him talk out loud about ways that I can manage my time, do less, it really helps me. And what I do is say out loud to myself, I did this yesterday. He happened to be in the kitchen, but I made dinner last night and then I thought, well, I'll do the dishes while I'm waiting for the dinner to cook. I was cooking in the Instapot. If you don't have one, you need an Instant Pot. But while it was cooking, I was like, I'm going to do the dishes. And what I did instead was I said out loud, nope, I'm not going to do the dishes. I'm going to sit down. And so, again, sometimes he's in the room when I do this, and sometimes he's not. But doing this, saying it out loud, helps me to acknowledge that, yes, I'm aware that the dishes need to be done, but I am choosing to rest. And this makes more sense to me rather than looking at the dishes and then just quietly going and sitting down. Like, I want to say out loud what my choices are and what I'm choosing. And maybe it's just me, but it helps me to recognize that I'm prioritizing my health. It helps me to recognize that I'm going to sit down not because I'm lazy and I don't feel like doing the dishes, but because I'm choosing to prioritize my health and go sit down. Because I really do have to take breaks in order to function, honestly. So next is setting realistic goals. So I struggle with this a lot. I've talked to my husband about it. I talked to my psychiatrist about it. Adjust your expectations to match your current abilities. It's okay to lower the bar, and it's hard, but it's okay. Instead of aiming to cook a full dinner, I could either prepare something simple or even ask for help. And I am starting to do that now. I'm starting to be like, will you do this part and I'll do this part. And of course, he is overjoyed to do that. That's what we used to do before I got sick. We used to cook together, but I know that he knows that I really like to do all of the work. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, that I'm able to accomplish something, an entire thing all by myself, which is a big deal when I couldn't I couldn't do anything in the kitchen by myself several months ago. So either that, ask for help, or instead of shooting to cook dinner 4 times a week, maybe just shoot for 2 nights a week. I have found that shooting for less than what I think I'm capable of is just the right amount. I usually will try to shoot for 4 times a week, which means that um, 3 would be what I should shoot for, but 2 would actually be reasonable, if that makes sense. So I'm usually not capable of doing what I think I am in this new body of mine. I'm still getting used to what my threshold is for standing up, for reading direction, like reading recipes, even walking the dog around the block. Like today, lately, I've really only been able to go a half a block, and I'll set out to walk my dog. I did this yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk the whole block. I'm gonna walk all the way around. And I got like halfway and I was feeling like dizzy and I felt unstable. And I'm like, nope, not today. I got to go back home. So that's a great example of I'm always shooting for much higher than I'm capable of. And what I'm trying so hard to learn in recovery is to shoot low and see if I can accomplish it without symptoms, and then shoot for a little smidge higher. And I have a hard time doing that, but I'll get better. I mean, I don't have a choice. I got to keep trying. Next, practice self-compassion. So treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you offer others. It sounds so easy. Treat myself the way I would treat my children, right? Why don't I do that? When I start to feel like I'm not doing enough, remind myself that I'm doing my best and that's enough. That's what I tell my kids. If they came home, I mean, they're grown now, in their 20s, but when they would come home from school, if they bring like a C home or something like that, and they're like, I just got a C or something. And I'd say, well, did you do your best? They'd say, yeah. And I'm like, then that's enough. And wow, yeah, that's a good reminder. I haven't thought about that in a long time. So I'm going to see if I can look at it from that perspective. And then finally, rest without guilt. Understand that rest is a critical part of recovery. Doing nothing is doing something for our bodies. Napping and taking breaks are necessary for me to heal. Allowing myself to rest without feeling guilty. It's easier said than done, but again, it's a great time to say out loud, I am choosing to rest. I'm not lazy. I'm choosing to rest. My brain needs to rest right now. I have said that several times before as I'm walking to my bedroom, I'm like, my brain needs to rest. I think I'm telling my dogs that because they're always listening. So when these feelings of inadequacy creep in, it's important to remind yourself that time takes time. Recovery takes time. Healing is a process and it can't be rushed. And man, I keep trying to, but it can't be rushed. Take it from me, it can't be. Each day is a step forward, even when it doesn't feel like it. And at vestibular therapy yesterday, all we did was I laid down and she massaged my head. That was it. That was for 40 minutes. That's what we did. There was even like a new tech that was shadowing my therapist. And I said, I'm sorry, I have nothing entertaining to do for you guys today. So I just laid there and she massaged my head. We talked about TV shows that they watch. And I tried not to have a pity party and be like, I can't watch TV like you guys can or anything, but it was nice. I mean, I would pay to just go there for 40 minutes twice a week and have her rub my head. But unfortunately, I have to actually do exercises when I'm there usually. So remember that we are enough and our worth isn't measured by how much we do around the house. Our well-being is what truly matters. And that's what our family wants for us. Celebrating small wins, every small task that you complete is a victory. And these these wins are sometimes not just what we have accomplished on the outside physically, but it's also some of this mental stuff that we have accomplished as well. The self-talk. Was I talking kindly to myself today, or was I feeling sorry for myself today? That is a win if I was having positive self-talk today. Rather than thinking that I only cooked twice this week, I should be thinking, hey, I cooked twice this week and I couldn't do that months ago. So personally, I've had to remind myself constantly that it's okay for me to take it easy. It's my expectations that need adjusting, not anyone else's. Being gentle and kind with myself has been the most important part of my recovery. It's ongoing. I keep having to work at it, and I will in the future still have moments where I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough, but recognizing these feelings and addressing them with positive self-talk, self-compassion, I can make a change inside of me. And by saying these things out loud, naming them, I always talk about that, naming what it is that I'm feeling out loud. That's the stuff that changes me on the inside. If I don't say it out loud, it's just stuck in there. It's stuck in there. I have the gate that lets all of that dark stuff out of my dark place, and that's this mouth of mine. So, thank you for joining me on this episode of Recovery Daily Podcast. If you found today's discussion helpful, please share it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to click follow or subscribe. I will talk to you tomorrow.